So I've been sending out a whole bunch of podcast guest speaking requests to podcasts and of all sizes. So, smaller, more nichier ones with, relatively speaking, super small audiences, to also some big podcasts. One of them is Online Marketing Made Easy, Amy Porterfield's podcast. But I just got an email from them, which was a no, but it was so inspiring that I just had to pick up the mic and riff on it. So I'm going to talk about that experience and how a no from Amy Porterfield has inspired me. Listen in.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
So of course I'm on this mission to guest speak on 50 podcasts in 100 days, and sending out emails, and at this point it's not happening nearly as fast as I want it to. And I've got a class that I teach to my membership, my community, my Influence Army community, where I'm teaching and inspiring them how to guest speak on podcasts, go on an influence tour, get their message out there, get their message dialed in, and such. So I'm sending out emails and what have I sent out? Probably 20 or 30 emails so far. I'm almost to the point where I've got the process refined where I can consistently send out 2 or 3 or 4 a day, and then also bring a VA in as well, a virtual assistant, or find somebody that can perhaps send a few a day for me as well, as my tour manager. But anyhow, there's the emotional ups and downs of that, and there's also like this expectation I put on myself I need to hit that calendar mark of speaking on 50 podcasts in 100 days, right? And so when does that clock actually start ticking? I did a couple episodes on that, of course, and the way I'm gauging it now is, from the time the first episode of an interview publishes, hopefully I'll be on 50 more within that 100-day time frame. But the reality is great chance it might not happen like that, like I want it to, but the transformation that will come from trying will be massive, of course. And I've already had tremendous strides in my business and what I'm doing just by making the attempt to get on all these podcasts. So anyway, I sent an email to Amy Porterfield, her Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. It clearly went to a team, and I knew that when I was sending it. So I put this message, I put, "Hello, Amy," and then in brackets I put, "This message is for Amy. I hope it finds her," because I knew, I was sending it to like team@amyporterfield.com or whatever it is. But I send the email, and as you're sending emails, you get some auto responses from some shows. You get auto responses that are fill out a form. You get responses from team members that are like, "Hey, thanks for your interest. Fill out this form." So lots of forms to fill out, and they're like a Google Doc, like a questionnaire form. Like, fill out this form so we can see if you're a good fit for our show, or fill out this form so we can see if the host of the podcast I've reached out to wants to speak on my show. they're usually metrics-based forms, stuff like that, meaning what are the metrics of your show? So we know if we want to take the time to speak on your show. Or it's like, what are the metrics of your audience? So we know if we want you on our show. Stuff like that. And anyway, sometimes it can be disheartening as you're getting forms, and these forms create more work and things like that. But I'd sent an email again to Amy Porterfield. I immediately got an auto response from Amy Porterfield's Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. And just shout out to Amy Porterfield and what she does. And she helps you create courses and do all these things. And she is very powerful at what she does, very successful at what she does, has a great message. She's a great communicator. She helps so many people. She's got a big, massive audience. Her podcast is extremely successful. Like, the opportunity to speak on her podcast would just be epic and perhaps business changing. And so, yeah, I sent her an email to speak on her show. And as you know as well, if you've heard a couple of my previous episodes, I spent a lot of time and effort and anguish building my email, my pod pitch email, building this email where I'm pitching a show. I'm pitching a show host. I want to speak on your show. Here's what I want to talk about. It's a pitch. I'm pitching a show host, and part of that pitch is, hey, I want you to speak on my show if you'd like to. So I've, put a lot of work into that pitch. And so you're sending out emails, and it can be frustrating because perhaps I'm not getting as many responses as I want. I'm getting all these forms to fill out. I did have a yes response and spoke on a show. It was awesome. It has not been published yet, so my tour has not officially started. He's like, yeah, we've done a bunch of interviews, so your episode is probably not going to be published for 3 months. So that is something to note when you're going on your own podcast tour. There is delayed gratification in that you'll be interviewed for a bunch of shows, but they probably will not be published or made live to the public for months, perhaps. And so the results of speaking on people's shows might be delayed, and that's the truth of the matter. But I don't mind it. I love it, and opportunities do come up in the moment from it. Anyhow, I send the email to Amy. I get this auto response that's like, thank you for your request. We aren't taking anybody. We're doing no more. We're not taking any speakers. We're so busy. We're not doing interviews for a while. Blah blah blah. Like, just shutting you down right from the start in a graceful way, but it's very clear. Like, the auto response, we're getting so many requests from people wanting to speak on this podcast that we're not taking speaker requests at all. We're getting too many requests. We're overwhelmed. And I thought, oh, wow, that's interesting. They probably get to pick the cream of the crop of who they want on their show. And due to their success, due to Amy's success, right? But it's fun. It's fun doing the muscle memory, putting the work out there, and so it was an immediate no auto response that everybody gets when they email Amy Porterfield's show. Also, part of my email, much of it is templated, right? And so you need to replace word blocks with before you hit send, you replace some of the text that will say, like, I listened to blank episode, and this was my takeaway 1, takeaway 2, right? So you need to actually listen to an episode, and then you replace the words with, I listened to your episode, and you type in the episode. And then this was my takeaway. And then you type in the takeaway. And so, yeah, you got to remember to do that, right? And at some point, I'll have a CRM that will auto-populate that. So I'll take the notes, I'll put it into the CRM, and it will auto-populate the email, right? So it'll still be authentic, and it'll be true, but it'll just be auto-populated, and I won't have to literally cut and paste, right? I hope that makes sense. So anyway, a couple weeks ago, by now, maybe 10 days ago, a week ago, I don't know, the timeline is funny. Is fuzzy. Let's call it a week ago. I sent this email to Amy. I immediately, seconds later, get the auto response that's not only a no, but hell no, or heck no. There we go. And anyway, I forget about it. So this morning, I'm doing my prayer and meditation. I'm getting centered. I'm like, man, I've been living in the present and the past a lot these days instead of like staying in the moment. And in the moment right now, for me, everything is so good. If I can stay in the moment and not trip out on what's going to happen 2 months from now, 1 month from now, even a week from now, like all is good. I'm being productive. I'm taking action. I'm executing on all this stuff. I'm having fun. But the moment I slip into, but what about 2 months from now? But what about in a year? But what about when this next bill comes due? But what about when I have to re-up with the coaching program? Which could be a month or two away, right? When I'm fixated on the month or two away, it wreaks havoc on my mental sanity, right? And I like to be happy, present, and connected to God in the moment. And so anyway, there's the cycles of that too. But anyhow, I'll cut to the chase here. The Amy Porterfield. So I get done with my morning routine, and I'm feeling good, and I've come out of this cycle of future tripping, and I'm really present in the moment and really appreciative of where I am and how things are going and what I'm doing, and I'm having a ton of fun. And there's an email from Amy Porterfield's team. And it was like, hey, we really appreciated your pitch to speak on our show. But you know what? It's just, you're not a good fit right now. Or I can't remember exactly how she said it, but it was from someone on her team, and it was clearly more personalized. Like they'd read my email, and the team sent me an email saying, hey, you know what? Thanks for that great email. What a great pitch, but the answer's no. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I made it to a personal email from her team. The answer was still no. But I'm going to be honest with you. It inspired me so much. I'm like, oh my God, I am on the right path, doing the right things. Keep at it. Keep sending the emails. Don't give up. Keep at it and trust the process and yeah, I just was super inspired. It's one of the most inspiring no's I've ever gotten in my current iteration or my current outreach cycle. And then, shout out to Catherine Jones. Catherine Jones, I just did a training with her. I was on a training that she did, and it's about, doing JVs, joint ventures, and she's got this thing called the collaboration ladder where the key is to get on this collaboration ladder. And, the lowest point on the collaboration ladder is they speak on your podcast. The next point is you speak on their podcast. And then there's, you teach a master class to their group. That's a collaboration. And then there's like you speak on their stage. And then another thing is you do an official joint venture. And there's all these points on the collaboration ladder. And what Catherine Jones says is hey, the key is just get on the collaboration ladder and you don't have to follow like the exact rungs of the ladder. Like you can enter at the lowest point, speak on a podcast, and then next thing you know, you're doing a joint venture. Or you can teach a master class, and then the next thing you know, you're speaking on stage. Or perhaps you speak on stage and then they speak on your podcast, right? Like you can bounce around the collaboration ladder. And I was totally inspired, and I'm going to reply to Amy Porterfield and Amy Porterfield's team. Hello, Team Amy Porterfield, if you're listening to this. Your no was so inspirational to me. I'm going to reply back, hey, that's cool that no opportunity currently to speak on your podcast, but I'd love to perhaps teach to your group about the power of guest speaking on podcasts. Maybe there's an opportunity for me to teach on, finding podcasts or how to get the emails or something like that. So I'm going to reply back to them and invite myself to speak, to teach to a group of hers and see what the answer is. And I am going to keep sending out emails in earnest because I got the sweetest no from Team Amy Porterfield. Anyway, everybody have a great day out there. Keep at it. Keep sending out those emails. Keep putting your voice out there. If you want to be heard, you got to put your voice out there. If you want to learn more about going on a podcast guest speaking tour, download my guesting guide, my podcast guest speaking guide. Download it at guestingguide.com. Again, guestingguide.com. All right, love to all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.